All right. Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't met me yet, my name's Trinity James. I'm really thrilled to welcome you to this webinar here tonight, hosted by Business Station. For those who aren't familiar with us, Business Station, we're dedicated to supporting small business owners and entrepreneurs with practical, results-driven coaching and also resources just to help you succeed. So today we're tackling a really important topic that's going to be really valuable for every business owner and professional, and that's your elevator pitch. But before we jump into today's topic, I'm really excited to introduce our guest speaker, Nita. Nita is an experienced business owner and coach with a huge amount of experience in digital marketing. And today, we're so lucky to have her here with us today to share her insights and tips on how to write and deliver elevator pitch. So, why are we actually talking about elevator pitches today? So, simply put, an elevator pitch, it's one of the most powerful tools that you can have in your business arsenal, arguably even more important than your business card. So, it's a really concise, persuasive, and memorable way to introduce your business or yourself. So, whether you're at a networking event, if you're meeting with potential clients or referral partners, or just even in a casual conversation, if you've got this well thought out elevator pitch in your back pocket, it can make all of the difference. It helps you quickly capture attention, make a strong impression, and what it does is it opens the door for further conversations. Basically, there's three elements to a good elevator pitch. So basically, you're introducing who you are, yourself, and your business. You're saying what you do, your products or services, or your mission, and you're introducing them to the unique value that you offer. What sets you apart from others in your industry? So let's dive deeper now with some insights from our guest, Nita. Thank you so much for being here, Nita. I know that you've had an absolute wealth of experience as a business owner and a coach. Would you mind sharing us a little bit about how, in your experience, an elevator pitch has played a role in your career?
Hi, everybody. Good evening, everyone. I'm from Perth, so hi to Perthians and Darwinians as well. Thank you, Trinity. It's really, I'm really grateful. That was a great introduction. So just to be clear, I started when I was 5. So let's just make sure we're clear. So I've been doing this. I've been in business for over 20 years, again, when I was 5. When we're talking about elevator pitch, it always comes down to experience. And you've got to remember, I want everybody to remember we're all making mistakes. So what I'm talking about here is a lot of practice and a lot of mistakes to sort of get it right. Even getting it right for every business that I had throughout my career and even the clients that I help out, we tested and we try it. And so how it helped me in my business, in my career, in my business, and to be honest, even in dating. So you sort of need to be able to clearly and quickly explain how you can help them, how and what outcome it's going to come about if they engage you in with whatever it is. So that opens up a lot of opportunities. The biggest challenges that for me that it helped me is when I got rid of, we're going to talk about it even more, but biggest thing for me that I learned is not to use jargon or big words. Because what I learned is, as humans, we don't like to come across as we don't know. Because that's the biggest thing. If we're going to ask the question as to, oh, I didn't understand what they said, that's the biggest thing that I learned, to avoid using big words of jargon, like industry jargons, because we tend to think, especially from a marketing point of view, we tend to think that someone else will know, but they actually don't. All they care about is, you know about my problem. How can you solve that problem for me? What can you do for me? So when we understand that, it helped me in my career. I don't even have year 12, and I resigned from my corporate job as an operations manager in Honeywell, which is a Fortune 100. So it all comes down to how you can talk about what you can do for them, how you can solve their problem. And then it helps. It's like a key, to be honest. It's a great key that opens a lot of doors for you, definitely.
I think
Hope
that's
that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. There's a couple of things in there that I found fascinating. I think that the dating analogy is actually pretty accurate. And like keeping things like the jargon out of it. Like we're not here to sound smart, we're here to connect as humans. And I love that approach. So Nina, when you're writing an elevator pitch for yourself, could you tell us a little bit about what steps you take to make sure that it really captures the listener's attention?
So we're talking about the steps that I, first of all, I understand who am I talking to. So let's talk about in a networking event, it depends. I'll always have a strategy as to why why am I going to that networking event? If the networking event for a collaborative uh, opportunities, or is it that the networking event have my ideal client in there? So I always research this. And if I'm going for the collaboration, then my pitch is always different. If I'm going to that it's going to have my ideal client in there, then again, my pitch is going to be different. But when I say different, both things, we always want to know, how can you solve my problem? Even in a collaborative way, even for the collaboration, they need to know how you can help them too. So it has to be a win-win for both parties, regardless of what it is. It has to be a win-win for both parties. So I always do that. And one of the things, please be human. Please be human. One of the things that we all hate, right? We don't want to come across as salesy. We have to have a call to action. We have to talk about our value proposition. We have to talk about as to how we can solve their problem. But we don't want to come across as salesy. That's the biggest thing that I've noticed. And we all the same. I've been to the networking event that their business card gets shoved into my face and they walk away, and I just don't like it. I don't, and if I feel the same, then I don't want to. But if I know that they can help me or someone I know they can help, I'll be happy to listen. So have that hook and just remember who you're talking to. So
I
that's
think
always been it's keep it simple too, though. So it's always keep it simple.
I think that's really good advice, like just that preparation phase, like doing your research. So you touched on that, and that you kind of tailor your pitch depending on who you're speaking to, but also what the outcome is that you're looking for from that particular event that you know that you're walking into. Could you share a little bit more around? So, if you're going in looking for a potential joint venture partnership versus actually going to close a potential customer, how would you change your elevator pitch in those scenarios?
So it depends. So if it's a collaboration thing, I need to know how they can help me. So that's where you need to be. Okay, so you always need to be strategic with what you're doing. I know we didn't talk about salesy, we didn't talk about anything, but you need to be strategic as to what you're doing. Even when we're going for the collaboration and you're looking for the joint venture, you still have to know what if it works for you as well. So don't go in thinking whoever comes in, that's fine. Now, always have a plan, have a strategy. So if I'm going for the joint venture, I want to know this is how I do it. I probably sometimes I'm very black and white, but it's a business and it's a joint venture. For me, I look at it as, okay, so I'm going in. How could they help me? How could they help me? Most of the joint ventures that I go to, usually it's if it's going to provide another service for my businesses, for my clients. So it always works that way. So I always go based on how I can help them and how they can help me and what's the pain point that I can actually solve. When I'm going for my client, if I have an ideal client joining that event, I always go with who I am, always their pain point. One of the things I learned a long time ago is we either want to get rid of a pain or have a pleasure. That's the only way we buy. They don't buy anything. It doesn't matter what I say. They don't buy it unless if it's either gets rid of a pain for them or gives them pleasure. When I mean pleasure is solve their problems, puts them in a better place. So, which I learned it's mainly a pain. So I always talk about the pain point, how I can get rid of that pain and how I can give them what they're looking for. So I always take them through that process. When I talk to the clients, it's very different. to ideal client is very different. I always stick to the pain point, how this is going to help, and my value proposition. I do sometimes talk about like the stories, case studies, and how I do it. I always tell stories. It worked for me throughout my career. Telling a story works, and having that narrative, because that me too, that they can understand the pain. Because for me, I've started my own business. I didn't have a marketing agency, and this marketing agency came about because I had my service businesses. I had air conditioning businesses. I had plumbing, and I had cafes and everything else. So because of, I got to this because I was in there, in my knees, into all that trenches trying to get the business up and running. So that what story I have that I talk to them, to my clients. You absolutely have that story too, because most of us sometimes we have our business because we saw a need. We were on the other side and we saw a need and we thought, I can actually help people in my position. So these are things. Am I answering your question, or am I just talking?
Absolutely. No, I love where you're going with this. And like you've touched on some really important points here. I love that you recognize that it's about storytelling. So as humans, that's really we make decisions from an emotional part of our brains when we decide to buy, and the way that we activate that and make that decision is through stories. And so that's brilliant that you're approaching it in that way. And I think that that's incredible that you've that you've recognized that. Um, on the pain points, I think that is really important. You're right. Like you've got to go in and focus, like, what am I solving for them here? Do you actually agitate that pain point, or do you just go in straight with a solution? Like how do you approach
I
speaking
always
about
talk
the
about the
issue?
pain. I
You do.
always talk about the pain. Yeah, because for me, one of the things, and I would talk about my own pain. So one of the challenges that I had, so I don't know, is everyone, we had yellow pages, there's big books you can build a house with. So we two big massive books. So for me, I struggled so much. And back then, the first business was 2001, and it was all about money. If you had money, you could get a bigger ad and everything. It was very difficult. So I always go for the fact was money was hard. And if money was hard, the money wasn't coming in, and you were against big boys and girls in the industry. So if you had more money, you could advertise more. In my case, when we were starting out, we didn't have that. So we had to compromise and come up with other plans to do something. So it I forgot about the question. What was the question? I just rambled.
Just how you agitate the pain
Oh,
point
yes.
without sounding depressing or
Yeah.
salesy, I
So
suppose.
but you have a solution. It doesn't have to be depressing. So that's where
This
you
is
solve
it.
that problem. So one of the things was the business was up and down. So if you had a bit of money, so we could market and go up, and then we ran out of money, then stop. So we had up and down. So one of the challenges what I had was consistent flow of leads coming through, and
Mm.
also be able to convert and sell and have a plan. So it's always the pain with any small business. If any of you, that you all know, consistent flow of leads to come in for you to choose from and actually make him transact and move to the next step is the hardest part. So this is my elevator pitch. I always go for the fact that to bring a consistent flow of client and also help you convert them, also keep them so they can come back and buy from you more, or have another plan so they can become your evangelist. Because I know in every business, some businesses you can only buy once. So that's what I do. That I know, I tell the story how much I struggled and what I do to actually get rid of that struggle.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love that you're actually sharing it from real world experience as well. I think that that's something that people will connect with and really value. I'd love to hear from your point of view, like what are some of the most common mistakes that you've seen people make with their elevator pitches?
Oh, okay. So lack of clarity and too much information. Like honestly, we don't want to know. And I know that because I've done this myself, and I talk a lot. And so I've been working with Business Station a lot, and sometimes I used to run training for people who were coming in, but I wanted to give them everything. But I realized I could see it in their faces, their blank faces, because it was too much, because I wanted to give them too much, everything, and it was too much information. And with the clarity, lack of clarity, I see sometimes people, if I ask, what do you mean? Or if I have that look on my face that I have no idea what you're talking about, it means you weren't clear. And one thing is, don't just remember it's a human on the other side. They don't know your business, your what you're providing is unique to you. What I want is, how could you help me? So make it in my own language. It's so that's one of the things that I've noticed. Ignoring the audience, you're not actually tailor it to whoever you turn up, and forgetting to engage with, I'm talking about me as a human. Like if you come across as salesy, one of the things I notice when they come across as salesy, it just turns me off, because I don't know how you can help me. I know everybody, honestly, I believe I've got so many clients that I believe their service is amazing. And we all believe that, right? We think we know we can make a difference. We know we're the greatest. I know I'm the greatest. But nobody, but honestly, the people on the other side, they don't care. All they want to know in a simple, clear language, how can you help me? And also one thing that people forget to do, and even I've seen it in advertising, they forgot to ask, what do you want us to do next? So ask us, what do you want us to do next? Because honestly, people don't know. They go, okay, you've given me the information. And then that awkward silence. And then I'll forget all about you. Because a lot of people come in. So that's one of the biggest things, lack of clarity, also sounding too salesy, and ignoring whoever you're talking to, not understanding the problem that you're telling me has to be about me, not about everyone else. So that's, again, we go back to understand the audience, where you're going.
That's excellent. That's really helpful. So with that call to action at the end, what are some of the best calls to actions or next steps that you've seen work really well, or have you found have been really genuinely engaging?
So again, it comes down to what we can do. So what we are going to do for them. Next one is always a conversation, always a conversation. Let's just have a conversation. If you can, have a coffee. If you are virtual and you've got clients everywhere else, then have that Zoom call. Definitely have that. And don't be afraid to ask a question. And some of the things I do is, when I connect with them on LinkedIn, I don't have business cards. It's been in the back of my mind that I need to print business card. I haven't done it yet. It's been 4 years now, so working on that. So one of the things that works for me is I connect with them on LinkedIn. And I always record a video and send them a video thanking them for their time. And I would love to catch up with them. And I always give time and date, and I always give 2 options. And if they're interested, usually if they're interested, they connect with you anyway, it worked. And trust me, there are some times that I went in there and it's not working. Like, you can see it. And you're like, oh, it didn't work. That's
Comes
where
back
you
to the
learn.
dating analogy, right?
Yeah. You don't want to ask them to marry you straight away, like surely on a first date. Because if you do that, you're like, whoa, what is wrong with this person? Yeah, it happens. Trust me, it does happen. People, when you push it, and I think dating is all of us relates to that. You had someone that's been so pushy, you're like, oh, don't think I can do this.
But that's fantastic advice. Like, I love that idea of like just the connecting on LinkedIn, and then like sending like a personalized video with like 2 options for when can we catch up on Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. And
That's great
it
advice.
doesn't have to be LinkedIn. So mine is very different. So my audience is very different. But if your audience hang out on Instagram or anything, just send them a message, connect with them on Instagram. Knowing where your audience hang out, most of my audiences hang out on LinkedIn. So I give an example of LinkedIn, but if it's Instagram is your thing, use that. People love it. They get so excited that they think, oh my God, you took time out of your day and you send me a message. If you're not comfortable with video, do a voice message. It doesn't have to be video, but I'm very comfortable.
Actually, the audio messages are fantastic as well. So that's a really good tip. Um, Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to tease out that you mentioned, Nita, and I feel that this is a really common mistake where we ramble. I find myself doing that. I know that that's something that a lot of people get quite uncomfortable about themselves. Like once they start talking, they get on this roll and then they forget where they're at. So, what advice would you have for making sure you don't fall into that particular pitfall?
I think you are forgetting about them
Hmm.
and you're there to sell. That's the only thing that I think. Every time I forget, so I'm going to tell you something. So I've got a little prayer. I'm not a religious person, and I've got a little prayer even before this. And I think I told when we were waiting for everyone to turn up, I said I'll be 2 seconds. So I always sit down and say, I'm doing this for them. So I'm joining. It's not about me because my head is already big. So it's not about me. I'm there for them. I can see Paul nodding. Yeah, my head is really big. But it always helped me. If you forget, it's because you've gone in selling. Don't ever go in to sell. Go in there to solve a problem. Go in there and find out how you can help them. And just come from a heart. Just be yourself. Truly be yourself. I know we talk about, I think, I don't want to say be authentic because it's just, this phrase has been used and abused a lot. But just be yourself. People will love you for who you are. And even if you make a mistake, just say, oopsie. That's not what I meant. But I think most of the time, if we forget and we ramble, is because we go there to sell and we're forgetting as to wait. This is a networking event. We're not selling anything, even though, because they buy you first. They absolutely buy you first. And one thing I learned from Jay Abraham, I've been following him for a very, very long time. He's a very good strategic marketer. One thing I learned is a consultative approach. And he gives an example of doctors. So if you go to the doctors and you tell them about your problem, and if this doctor go, I really want to tell Neda there's this treatment can help, but I don't want her to think I'm salesy. You get pissed off. I want that doctor to tell me I've got this can help you. But then again, he asked me like questions. But so you got to remember it's all about them. It's not about us. And forget about being salesy and just be consultative. Like consultative approach is the best way. It worked for me. Again, I was trying to be pushy, an old way of selling. It didn't work for me. And I had to do something different. And that's what it came about. Just be consultative. Be like a doctor.
That's
Ask them
fantastic
questions.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that approach and just taking that moment before you're walking in to remember that you're
Oh,
there to
yeah.
support them and to
Yes.
connect. I love
Yeah.
that. That's fantastic. And Paul, you've just put a fantastic comment in the chat as well. I'll just read that out. People love to buy but hate to be sold to. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, let me just unmute. Yeah, look, we're in an environment now where things have changed massively, and Nita, you've hit the nail right on the head. That's why we've brought you on board, because you're a wealth of knowledge through it. But all I do is I think about my buying experiences and how it's changed. And look, I hate to be sold to. Right. I love buying things, but hate to be sold to. So, you just got to get in the mind of your target audience, your customers, your clients, your patients, and just talk their language. It's as simple as that. So.
That's brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Paul. Netta, I've got a difficult question for you, but it's been backed up by a couple of people in the chat as well. So I am going to bring it out. Could you please share a story from your experience where a well-delivered elevator pitch really led to a significant business opportunity? And can you just give us an example of how that sounded and how it actually plays out in real life?
Okay, so I think we talked about I'm going to give you two examples. One that it got me, and this person's works for me at the moment, and then I'm going to talk about my own thing. So I was looking for someone to help me with local SEO. So I provide that service in the agency. I was looking for local SEO, and I wasn't sure, this is what I was starting, and I wasn't sure if I wanted local SEO to work on my own local SEO. And then I thought, ooh, to be more efficient with the money, maybe I should need this person to be VA as well. So then I started looking for VAs, and then I put an ad out in Upwork, and this is exactly what it came about. And he works for me now. So they call me Small Business Genie. Now, I don't have as many years in experience in the field as Genie from Atlantic, nor am I powerful or blue, but I can do this and this and that. And it actually worked because I don't know, because my Upwork ad was very conversational and I did exactly how I talk. And that grabbed my attention. I thought, I want to talk to this person because I found him funny. And funny enough, he works for me now. So that was the easy. So it doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be this big, elaborate, perfect thing. It just needs to hit the point. So another thing that we're working, I guess Business Station is the biggest thing that collaboration happened. But another thing that I'm very excited about, and we're working on it at the moment, I attended the TEDx Perth one time, and there was in the Welcome to Country when they started, the gentleman, Shane Nanup, who asked to everyone to come up the stage if they want to dance to the Welcome to the Country song. So I started running. I was the first one on the stage and I started dancing, and the next minute LinkedIn connection, and the next minute we were talking and everything else. And I got put through to talk to the general manager of TEDx probably about 2 or 3 months ago. And then through that, we had a conversation and I said how passionate I am about TEDx and everything else. And tomorrow I've got an appointment. I'll be managing their marketing department, TEDx Perth. So, and it's a voluntary work, but I'm very passionate about it. And to be honest with you, I always told myself, everybody, I don't know where it's going to take me. Obviously, it's something to do with marketing, and I know it's going to open so much. But it opened up something that I don't even know what's going to go. But for me, that's how it came about, how excited I am about TEDx. And next minute, they're telling me, oh, why don't you have a chat with this lady? She manages TEDx, and next minute, I'm going to do that for them. And tomorrow, our first things are going to need to find out exactly where they're going wrong and what they need to do and how I can assist them and help them. So weird things happen just to be yourself. Like, again, tell a story and make it specifically for that audience. If you can do that, I'm sure you do, but sometimes we get too much in our head, like we get caught up there. And don't get me wrong, we all do it. I'll do it. I'll sit here and go, oh, look at me, I'm this greatest. But I do stuff up every now and then. And I come home and I kick myself. So so yeah, that's how collaboration happens. And it doesn't have to be monetary. Always remember, it doesn't have to be monetary. Sometimes I don't know where it is going to go, but it might open a lot. I actually took Business Station open a lot. I turned up for a talk on behalf of someone else. One of the cubicle managers were there in that event. And next minute, 2019, I started working with Business Station. So there you go.
It's amazing. Look, I think that's a really good summary. Like, be a human, focus on their pain points, always look to add value and build genuine connections. I think that's amazing. And thank you for highlighting that experience and showing how that actually plays out. Got a couple of questions on here. So how would you apply this to a not-for-profit where we're asking for sponsorship and long-term support?
Again, it comes down to how this is going to help them. It always, even for non-for-profit. So are you, Laura, are you in the non-for, how do you apply with this for non-for-profit where we're asking for sponsor? Okay, so it's always, even for sponsorship, this is what with conversation we're going to have with TEDx, I guess, tomorrow, even with sponsorship, or you got to remember, what's in it for them? Even though it's non-for-profit, if I'm putting money into it, what's in it for me? So if you look at it that way, you got to have a win-win situation for them. And your non-for-profit, there's always something for them. It's either the number of people that come through, if it's the exposure possible opportunities, there's always have to be something for them. And it has to be something for your non-for-profit as well. I hope it answers your question, but always going as to what's in it for them as well.
Excellent. Do we have any more questions from the floor?
Trinity, I'll just add something if I can. Okay,
Absolutely.
just in regards to the elevator pitch, just coming back to the topic elevator pitch, what you've got to do is, as Nita said, you've got to really hit those pain points. So where I look at it, if you just have a little bit of a template and you're thinking about how you're going to communicate your elevator pitch out there, the first thing is obviously you need to know your audience or who you're talking to. Key. The second thing is just to try to address those pain points. So if I give you an example, all right, you know, the pain point for a lot of businesses out there is obviously the cost of doing business. Profits are being, you know, eroded in a lot of businesses. So, you know, my elevator pitch could be out there right now. I look at my target market, my audience, maybe small to medium businesses. So the elevator pitch is I help small to medium businesses, you know, generate, you know, double their profits the next 60 days, right? You know, guaranteed, those kinds of things. So you're hitting a hot spot, which is then going to get the attention. So, you know, it's got to be short and sweet. As you know, you don't want to be rambling on and trying to, you know, convince people of what you do, how you're going to do it, whatever. You just got to hit the point straight there and then. Especially if you're like in a networking event where there's, you know, short of time. You know, a little bit of pre-planning goes a long way. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Have a process for yourself. So I always find out where am I going, what pain point I'm going to talk about today, how am I going to change a point, how I'm going to help them to get rid of that problem, and also my value proposition and call to action. Have a process in place for yourself. Keep it simple, don't overcomplicate it, but just have a point as to have I done this, and practice. Okay. And you just have to practice it, and then mirror is your best friend. Not all the time, I think, and mirror lies sometimes, but mirror is your best friend.
The scales do that too. Did you know this?
I just saw another question. How long must be the elevator pitch?
Yeah.
I saw that one. Is it Elka? It all depends where you're at. I think Paul touched on that as well. It all depends where you're at. If you think in a networking event that you might have a very short window, I think it's between 3 seconds to 2 minutes. But then when it goes longer, it's a place that you actually go in and they want to listen to your elevator pitch. That 2 minutes we're talking about is if you're looking for investors, or in the non-for-profit point that someone asked Laura, in a non-for-profit point of view that you're looking for sponsorship, then yeah, definitely, because they're sitting there listening to you. So know where you're going and practice the 3 second one, the quick one or if you're going and you think, okay, I might have an opportunity for the longer time, but don't go more than 2 minutes. Then they lose interest very quickly.
Fantastic. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nita. We're just a minute over time, but we really appreciated your expertise today. Yes, we're going to be sending the recording around. I know that Nita covered a whole lot of super valuable content in a very fast period of time. So if you want to revise any of what she shared tonight, we're going to we'll send that recording around. We've also got, to help you get started, a special offer in our free business health check pack. You can download this pack, which includes a whole lot of valuable tools and resources to help you assess and enhance your business strategies. I've popped that link in the chat there. And you can also book a business coaching discovery call with us to learn a little bit more about how we can help you refine your pitch and other critical aspects of your business, and how you can work one-on-one with Netta and our other coaches to achieve that. So I'm just popping that link in the chat now, and I encourage you to take us up on that offer. But other than that, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us, Netta. We really appreciated having you on board tonight.
Thanks, Netta.
Thank you, everybody.
Well
Actually,
done.
what I'm going to do, join me, connect with me on LinkedIn. You're going to get a video. But connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to get to know you, but this is your network, and your network is always your network. So always connect. I'm actually going to share my
LinkedIn.
Where is my LinkedIn link? And connect with me. I would love to get to know you more. And if you got any questions, just drop me a message. I would love to answer your question. If you have any questions, we can absolutely answer your questions. And as you know, I do love.
We'll put your LinkedIn link into the email we send out
there
with the
you go.
recording
We're
as
here.
well. So
yeah,
we'll put that
perfect.
in there as well. All right.
Beautiful.
That's really good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great
Thank you
evening.
again.
Thanks,
Big
guys.
thank you. Have a
Neato.
great day. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Take care.